Right. Welcome, everyone. QM, Kishore, Kiri, Dan, Pavel, Nintron, Kiri, Marisol, Gabriel. Glad to have you guys. How you doing, Honey Badger? Shout out to everybody who's tuning in over on Discord. If you're hanging out with us on X, just an FYI, we are simulcasting this event from our Discord server. So I'm gonna pin a tweet up above on X so you guys can join in over here on Discord. This is our weekly Wednesday Tech AMA with Dr. K. I'm glad to have you guys here today. Bear with us a few more moments here while we get things situated and get Dr. K up on stage over in Discord. But guys, if you're hanging out with us on X, feel free to smash that like button and let's retweet the space, bring the rest of Quai Nation in here. Things are humming over here at Quai Network. The community is growing exponentially every day. The price is growing exponentially every day. The SOAP flywheel is humming. Things are turning around. Proof of work economics officially tipped on its head thanks to the design of Project SOAP. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, if you're on X, smash that like button, shoot out a retweet. Let's bring the rest of Quai Nation in here, and we'll get Dr. K up on stage shortly and officially kick this off. If you can't join us over on X, over on Discord, feel free to drop your questions for the man himself down there in the comments section. And we'll reserve some time in the back half of this call to address all those questions over on X. But highly encourage everybody to hop into our Discord server and join in the conversation there. This community's been around for years now at this point, and it's always a good time hanging out and chat with all the OGs. I always learn something new during these spaces, and Dr. K usually shares his 2 cents on whatever meta is happening in the space these days, or some thoughts on cooking without seed oils or separating money from the state. Big conversations that I absolutely love. Obviously inspired by crypto. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Bear with us one more moment here. Let's make sure Dr. K is tracking. We got a lot going on over here these days, guys, and more coming. We were talking about all sorts of cool things lining up in. And we might have some news before the end of the week, actually. Some big partnerships and events and upgrades to all the tools and releases that we've been working on the last few weeks. Let's see here. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a peek over at the SOAP dashboard. If you're new around here and you're wondering what the heck is going on, Project SOAP, guys, launched back in December 17th, 2025. Not so long ago, but that was the date that Quai Network flipped proof of work economics on its head. You can track everything that's happening with Project SOAP over at the SOAP dashboard at soap.qu.ai. Quai Network officially opened up its native work shares and blocks to be mined by 3 separate algorithms. Kapow can mine the blocks, but also Kapow, SHA, and Script can mine the work shares native to Quai Network. That hash rate is also merge mined with Ravencoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. And the rewards from those networks go into buying quiet market and then burning it. And as of right now, we're seeing north of 483,000 in total revenue, over almost 43.5 thousand in 24-hour revenue. So that's over 43,000 in the last 24 hours in revenue. A total of 10 million plus Quai burned, which is over $1 million in USD. So that's tokens times price. The hash rate across all three algorithms is on a pretty consistent upward slope here. So as you can see, miners are starting to realize how profitable it is to mine Quai Network, and we really appreciate all our miners out there. Mining is our bread and butter, guys. Proof of work is where it's at. It's the one thing we're probably maxis on over here at Quai Network. Heck yeah. Ravencoin blocks, Bitcoin Cash blocks discovered about 30 minutes ago now. That's pretty cool. So guys, check it out. If you haven't already, head on over to soap.qu.ai to see all those stats. You can track profitability over at hashrate.no or what to mine. And if you're interested in mining, check out our docs, docs.q.ai or stratumx.org is a quote unquote solo mining pool. So non-custodial, no KYC, your bags are yours. So that's pretty cool. One of the things I was genuinely surprised of post SOAP is how many people were interested in solo mining. And one of the great things about Quai Network is its built-in work shares, which allows for consistent payouts even for small solo miners. So solo mining is totally viable over here at Quai Network across every single algorithm. So that's super cool. All right. Let's see here. We already got a lot of questions coming through in chat right now. Love to see it. Love to see it. Again, guys, if you're hanging out with us on X, tune in on Discord. Community's an absolute blast to hang out with. The OGs and the ambassadors and the moderators we're at this point, we're cracked out of our minds. This community's been around for about 5 years now, gone through many testnets. Quai is coming up on its anniversary. First block was mined on February 4th, 2025. So I think the team's got some cool things planned for the anniversary. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But we are just getting started over here, everyone. And while I'm at it, if you're trying to figure out how to get your hands on some Quai, guys, this is a token with actual utility, and one of the easiest ways to engage with the network, use the network, and earn some Quai is to go sign up over at Kipper Money and hang out with us on X. Again, that absolutely crack community is constantly tipping Quai-related content on X. And if you're a verified Twitter member, you can earn some Quai just for signing up. So go check that out. Make some posts about Quai and earn some Quai doing so, and maybe learn a few things along the way. SOAP 2.0 launch on first anniversary. Good question. Dr. K has been teasing some Easter eggs or some additional releases that he believes to be just as good, if not better, than SOAP, which is hard to believe. It's quite amazing how well SOAP has worked out. So I am just as in the dark on that one as you guys, but yeah, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. Around the stand-up campfire, we've been talking about all the new things that are possible now. that we're gaining traction and attention, which is really good to see. And the long tail of some much desired partnerships are starting to round the bend. So I'm super excited for some of these upcoming announcements. You'll definitely want to follow the Quai Network account. We'll be dropping those as soon as we're able. You can probably get a little bit of alpha on those in today's space, maybe. We'll see. But we also do these Quai Friday spaces every Friday. So don't miss those. And then the rest of the community is more than welcome to come up and speak on our Tuesday spaces. So we had a good Quai Nation space yesterday. And Christopher is kind of on point there for some of those BD partnerships. Every once in a while, he lets a little alpha slip. So that's always a good space to get some of that. But let's see here. Where is Dr. K? Guy's always multitasking. We were on a live stream a couple nights ago, and he was literally ranting at us about separating money from the state all the way up into the restaurant where he was supposed to meet his wife. So, the man is dedicated. We'll get him in here in a second. Stand by, folks. Let's see here. He's on his way, guys. No worries. No worries. Glad to see some familiar faces in the audience. Shout out Gabriel. He usually gets Dr. K on a good rant. Love Gabriel's aggressive bull posting out there. And he's always also, thinking about the future when Qi takes over the world's first decentralized energy dollar. Those conversations are always fun. But yeah, guys, I mean, outside of that, we're around all the time. Tomorrow, actually, we'll be going on another mining space with some pretty big players in the mining industry. Shout out Wolf Crypto, who hosts us every Thursday now. I believe I want to say it's 2 p.m. CST. Christopher, let me know if I nailed that. I didn't see it actually on their recent post about it, but that's always a good space if you want to learn more about mining. There he is.
Hey guys, I am sorry. It has been a long couple days.
No sweat. No sweat. I was just filibustering, talking about all the content that we have coming out, but catching up some new folks and all the content that we do regularly. It looks like Christopher's asked to speak. We'll bring him up in a second. Hey, Christopher.
Yeah, hey, Dr. K, hey, Matt. I just want to finish that thread before you switch over to the regularly programmed schedule.
Sure.
A regular scheduled programming. Wow, words. Yeah, tomorrow, guys, we're going to be on the Wolf's mining spaces. It's going to be at so it's 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, but in UTC, guys, it's going to be 8:30 p.m. UTC. So that's what you can expect to hear the team. Again, that is the best mining space on X period. And yeah, we'll be there weekly.
Rock on. Thanks for clarifying, Christopher. Yeah, I didn't see it on their post about their weekly calendar, so I need to poke them about that. No sweat.
You had to go down. It was like they did the whole week schedule at once since they had each day basically my post. And so it was all the way down Thursday. Next, Anyways, back to you guys.
All right. Yeah, new format. Thanks, Christopher. Really appreciate it. Welcome, Dr. K. Glad to have you. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah.
I know it's been, a long few days, but anything you want to mention to kick us off?
No, soap is soaping, guys. And I think people are starting to realize that it works, and um, we're on a inevitable trajectory now. So we just got to make sure that the engine keeps running, keep it lubed up, so to speak, keep it fueled up, and the math will play out. So
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Rock on. Appreciate that, Dr. K. Let's see here. We're already getting a ton of questions coming through in chat. So again, guys, we are simulcasting from Discord. If you want your question answered sooner rather than later, feel free to hop into Discord. The community is always a good time, so you don't want to miss out on the chat happening there. But if you can't join us in Discord, please drop your questions in the comments section on X, and we'll get to them in the back half of this call. You ready to dive in, Dr. K?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Rock on. First one coming through today is from Nintron. Question. With the current version of SOAP deployed, does the network already automatically allocate work shares to algos based on what percentage of the SOAP network is being soaped? That is, if we were soaping greater than 80% of Ravencoin, will Quai Network automatically start allocating less work shares to Ravencoin since it's reaching capacity?
Correct. That's already programmed in, and the threshold's 75%.
75. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Good to know. The follow-up there is, will it require a hard fork? I think the answer is no. So the controller is
No, we
in.
already anticipated this. So if we are prepping a hard fork, but that hard fork is to take us to 16 work shares. It basically, so there's potentially like 2 hard forks coming that we need to get to, like, that we need to do in sequence, and when we do it correctly, those like forks will get us to be able to take 100% of Bitcoin's hash rate.
Well,
That's like where we're going, right? Like the whole point of like SOAP is that we realize that hash is the resource and it's currently underutilized. So we've designed the system to take us from where we started to 100% of hash rate. So yeah, the current trajectory will get us maybe to like 300,000 per day. The next hard fork should get us to like 1 million, and then after that, we'll need one more to get us to like be able to take Bitcoin in its entirety.
understood. Okay, cool. That brings up.
But I'll also point out like these are like way cleaner than the last one. So these are like minor forks, not like major forks. So
tweaks.
there's like subtleties to what we're doing here, but it should be like they're pretty benign in terms of like surface. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. These hard forks are not what I would call like a refactor. They're more like just tuning.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, it's like staging, right? It's like the stages of a rocket.
Got it.
The first one has a lot of power, but it's only going to get you so far, and then you got stage 2, and stage 3, right?
Makes sense.
Like that's kind of how we got to do this. So, we like planned this all out from the beginning. This is unanticipated. We just couldn't ship it in one go.
Right.
But like this has been in the plans like since before we did even the first fork over to SOAP.
Got it. Okay.
So the only thing that I would say is like obviously like growth rate is aggressive, so our timeline for this is maybe slightly faster than we anticipated, but the problems of success, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That reminds me of a question I've seen a few times around the community, Telegram, and on X actually. Everybody's wondering, what's the limit of this? And so I think we have an answer, but I just want to get it from your
Okay, that's the limit.
Bitcoin's hash rate.
It's okay. So I'll give you guys some like TLDRs here, right? Like hash rate is the whole game of how you sequence transactions. Everyone that's like, oh, capital, this, that, and the other, no, it's bullshit. It's all hash rate. Like we're strictly playing a hash rate game, and like no one realizes that it's even the game that we're playing because for so long the game was sort of monopolized, right? What SOAP does is it basically makes it open, and we're the first people to realize like how to do it. But like that's always been the game that's on the board. It's just no one knew how to fucking play it. So like we're gonna play this game to its finish, which is 100% hash rate.
Got it. Okay. Appreciate that, Dr. K. All right. Moving right along here. Keystore, I'm going to come back to that first question if we have time. Totally acknowledge that it wasn't recorded last time, but I have an answer for you. And there's a lot of questions coming through chat, so I'll save that one for the end. Next one here.
I'll give another little bit alpha.
Oh, snaps.
I mean, this isn't necessarily like alpha because this isn't baked. But we are very much considering adding Zek and Monero after we get to 60 shares.
Interesting. Yeah.
So we potentially could add 2 more algos. But the reason for that isn't necessarily like the economics of that hash rate. It's the accessibility of that hash rate, meaning, I've mentioned before that we potentially have a mechanism for creating global consensus now across all of the proof of work blockchains. And so it's not really about getting like the SOAP subsidy from Monero and Zcash, but it's about fully integrating them into that superhighway, right?
Yeah.
So like if we SOAP them, we can also trade them, right? And I think it'd be very interesting to have a system where all proof of work no longer needs exchanges. You no longer need centralized entities. And with SOAP, we can push the flow through that system. So then we'll also have some of the greatest volumes on all of these tokens naturally every day because of the SOAP subsidies. So like it creates a very like interesting conglomeration of all the proof of work systems and all of their tokens in like one decentralized monolith that is Quai, right? So, we are considering that, but it's not in the service of getting like revenue from those 2 chains. It's from integrating them into that bigger like picture.
Got it. Man, that accessibility kind of goes both ways there. Add some utility to those privacy tokens, and is actually kind of bullish for both Monero and Zec if they get that additional utility and accessibility.
Well, so there's certain when it comes to privacy, right? Like privacy is like the most like difficult thing in this world still. And there's definitely like variations on that trait, right? Sure. So if you look at something like Bitcoin as a store of value, you're not going to get a lot of benefit from running Bitcoin on Bitcoin, right? You have a decentralized way of wrapping Bitcoin into Quai. No one's going to trade Quai on the Bitcoin or Bitcoin on the Quai or shit. Look at that. No one's going to trade the Bitcoin asset on the Bitcoin network anymore. They'll wrap it and only actually use it in Quai. Like, why would you do anything else, right? But when you look at, Monero or Zcash, you might want the interoperability to trade, but you still might actually trade that asset on the native network. It's going to be slower, but your privacy surface, your tooling, and your guarantees might be slightly different. So, like, there's a very strong argument that you want that asset interoperability, though you may actually end up using the network still. Whereas with something like Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, like, once you get it into Quai, like, there's really no reason to ever unwrap it.
Makes sense. Okay. Nice. Appreciate you expanding on that, Dr. K. On that topic, we got some folks diving deep into everything Quai and Qi offers here. I want you to touch briefly on this question about privacy and Qi. Energy asks or says, fixed denominations theoretically improve fungibility, but if I receive 1.337 Qi, I now have awkward change across multiple denominations. Bitcoin has this problem with Satoshis. How is this actually?
Well, so first off, he can't receive 1.337, right? Because the smallest denomination is chit, which is 0.0. Oh, I guess he could 0.001. Okay. So no, it's a chit is 100th of a Qi or 1,000th of a Qi.
I thought it was 1,000th. I thought there's
1,000.
3 decimals in Qi.
He could get 337. That's right. So you can't do that. The 7 you may or may not like want. And if you don't use it, like, it'll go away. If you do want to use it, you can use it to pay transaction fees. But the other thing is you can't reaggregate it unless you're the first reaggregation transaction in a block. So there's like a economic sort of inefficiency we've put in place so that if you want to collapse like your set of UTXOs, it's expensive, so to speak. So you'd actually be better off burning those through doing a transaction or spending them at, say, like a merchant who would do that reaggregation for you rather than reaggregating it yourself. So the bottom line, though, is because of that sort of economic friction, you've created a system which encourages cooperative reaggregation, so i.e. coin joining. And that was very intentful in the design. What was sort of the other part of the question?
More specific to how fixed denominations improve privacy.
Yeah, so they improve privacy because basically every denomination becomes an anonymity set. Right? We only have 16 denominations in the system, so you have 16 different anonymity sets. And then the thing of it is, because you can't reaggregate, or you shouldn't reaggregate if you're not doing it cooperatively, and you're financially encouraged not to reaggregate non-cooperatively, basically the entropy of your wallet is always going up, and then when the set size drops, it actually is increasing entropy because you're doing it with other people. So the whole concept here is that we're making it so that entropy is always increasing. And the reason you have 16 denominations is because you kind of need that number to be able to concisely represent UTXOs over many different value ranges. So if you sort of follow the economics, and given how we're doing BIP47, you just have the sort of natural wallet implementation. The default fixed denominations work well to get good entropy, I guess, is the conclusion.
Got it. I try to explain it a little more simply to myself like this. Let me see if this makes sense, Dr. K. At scale, there's going to be a ton of people with similar looking graphs and similar denominations of UTXOs with the limited 16 denominations. So basically, everybody's change looks like everybody else's change, and it reduces the ability for people to fingerprint you based on your UTXO change.
Yeah. So if you do sats to like 8 digits, and then you look at like how the math works out as you're kind of going down that path, like it's very identifiable, right?
Yeah.
With change, right? In the other thing, we haven't shipped it, but in one of the updates of the SDK, we're actually going to make it so that when you do a Qi transaction, you actually coin join with your counterparty when you do it.
Oh, interesting.
So it'll be a bilateral join. So then if I look at like the transaction, we're purposely adding entropy between the bilateral every time. So then nobody actually knows whose change is whose every transaction. So then every transaction like is, you know, and the cool part is if you're doing it in person or you're using Blip and you're, you know, using that SDK hook, there's no service, right? You're just basically, you know, scanning a QR code, which is allowing you to create, you know, a direct P2P route over which you negotiate the coin join. And it's all seamless to the user. So you just are like, I'm going to pay you. And then the wallets figure out, you know, how to make change, but also how to do a coin join, and sort of increase entropy in the transaction.
Nice.
Right. And then that should just like, that's just part of the SDK at that point. And then any app developer that's just developing or integrating will just naturally get that feature using the APIs on the SDK or the interface on the SDK.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Great question, Energy. There's a doc that explains even more on the privacy of Qi over in docs.q.ai. I'll try to link that here in a moment. But it's really well designed and very intentional, and it's all explained in that.
Well, I'll mention something about Qi. So, right, when we were looking at privacy, right, like systems exist, right? You might ask, why didn't we use zk snarks? Why don't we kind of do a zcash topology? Why don't we do ring six? Why don't we do bulletproofs, right? Like those are all valid questions, but ultimately what it came down to is none of those things scale.
Right.
So the question is, how do you get privacy at a scalable throughput? So even in a sharded system, if you were to try to apply any of those things and then you assume that you're, you know, actually being used as cash, none of them work. And they don't work by like at least 3 orders of magnitude.
Right.
Right. So if you're actually looking for cash in a digital world, none of those cryptographic solutions are it. If they were, we just use them. But what we found is that like the best way to go and get scale is you kind of have to use a compendium of sort of older school techniques, you know, and that's how you can actually scale the system and, you know, keep traceability down.
Got it. Nice. Appreciate that, Dr. K. Great question, Energy. Rock on, guys. All right. Cool. Moving right along here, Sargon asked, I was noticing that Quai's circulating supply is increasing even after burns. If Quai is being mined more while other coins are being mined less, then wouldn't burning become less effective? And if buybacks are around 100,000 while market cap is increasing by millions, how does that conceptually make sense? I don't think we've updated those API endpoints yet, have we, Dr. K?
No, we have not. I will say though, I mean, the market cap, or sorry, the supply is, I think, increasing, right? I think there's probably like it's probably like a 10% inefficiency right now. But here's the thing, guys. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, at all. Right? For a number of reasons.
Oh, you just went on mute, Dr. K.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry.
I told you guys, it's constantly multitasking. You there, Dr. K? You might need a second.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you back.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, so we haven't updated the endpoints. Now there is like a minor inefficiency, maybe 10%, but it doesn't matter. Because effectively what ends up happening is we emit more Quai under growing conditions. So there's a log curve. So when price doubles, we actually increase the emissions. Initially, the first doubling was 30%, and the second doubling, I think that goes down to like 24%, and then it goes down to like 20%. But you're always like making more, basically. So even with that like loss, it doesn't matter. But the other thing that doesn't matter is when we talk about the neutral emissions rate, like we're completely ignoring like rational miner and speculator behavior in like a price positive environment. And like what we're observing in the market is that once you have a slightly positive like coefficient from the mining, the amount of speculators in the system, be it miners or just outside money, like vastly exceeds whatever inefficiency you're getting in that delta. So it doesn't matter at all. So yeah, like it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to buy Quai. And like assuming that you need like a fully neutral system is like a bad assumption. Because just like changing the coefficient to create this positive feedback from negative to positive is just so dramatically influential. It just draws more money in. It's like those Nuvo sleeping bags are like air mattresses where you don't like blow it up. You like kind of blow into it. The air around it like gets sucked in. It's like a Venturi and it just sucks it in and it fills the thing up real fast.
What? I have not seen this.
You haven't seen this?
No.
So like instead of like blowing in a little hole, they have like a big fat opening and you just like blow into it. And it like sucks the air in from like around the stream of air you're blowing in and it just like instantly blows up.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, it's a cool phenomenon. But like the point being is, once that coefficient is positive, like it just sucks money in.
Right.
So even if there's like an inefficiency, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter at all.
Got it. And this is still outside or discounting or disregarding the
Get that.
potential
Well,
market.
also, yeah. I mean, I also point out too, like the market's just not efficient. Like the longer this runs and the more money there is, the more that gap closes. Right. The only reason that we have even a gap at all is because the price is going up too damn fast for the miners to catch up.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Sense.
if the market actually becomes rational, the miners should actually mine at a discount because Quai has a much better FEV.
Right.
So like once people are mining Quai when it's 20% less profitable than Bitcoin, that's the point when the market's becoming rational.
Got it.
So we should actually like yeah, we should have a positive efficiency in a rational setting. So like I'm not worried about it at all.
Nice. Rock on. Great question, Sargon. Shout out, Sargon. Welcome back, too. I haven't seen you around for a while. Glad to have you. All right. Okay. Appreciate that, Dr. K. Moving right along here, Parabesh is interested on your thoughts on staking. He says, do you think staking is good and has both positive and a negative side? The negative he calls out is people will sell staking rewards through which price might not keep increasing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason we haven't done it yet. I don't know if we need to do it. We're getting a lot of capital in the system without having to like play with that lever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm thinking we're probably not going to need it. Would be my guess,
Okay.
but like we'll see.
Heard. Right on.
Also,
Okay, let's see here. In the Matrix asks about how long the SOAP protocol is going to last. I think we covered that one. Let's see here. Alpha, shout out Alpha Mine, has a question here. First of all, good update on Stratum X about the share calculation. He says here, it looks like expected approximately one share every 30 seconds, based on what he's seen. His question, how many shares deem acceptable per minute? Do you have rate limiting?
We do have rate limiting. I mean, ultimately, like Stratomax only actually pays like work shares. We should actually update the documentation or like figure out naming, because it's like pay per work share, right? The only reason we even report like shares is so you can see your hash rate. But like long term, the only thing that matters are the work shares. But because we have so many work shares, even if BitAx gets paid like twice a day, right?
Nice.
So, and it is proportional to the number of shares that get reported. The only purpose of those shares is so that you can see the number on the dashboard. That's it. Like, there's no other purpose, right? So anything below the dotted line, like, is only there for your, like, gratification. It's not meaningful in any other way. Now, the number below the line, like, will ultimately statistically represent the number you get above the line, which are the actual paid work shares. But they don't matter, honestly.
Okay.
They're just there for like people to know what their hash rate is more quickly, right? So like a small miner like knows that their node is online and like what the hash rate that they're getting. Like that's the only purpose.
Understood. Yeah, a lot of miners actually comment they really appreciate that view. So kudos to the team for creating that. Let's see here. Alpha, I see you in chat. Feel free to follow up if you have more on that question. I'm going to move on here. Second one is any plan on Stratum X's REST API endpoints? Also, an endpoint for revenue calculator would be ideal. Oh, you're muted, Dr. K. FYI.
If somebody has a reference that they like via or something that they're interested in, like circulate that and we'll see what we can do.
Okay. Good idea, Alpha Mine. Shoot us your ideas for API endpoints for Stratum X. Nice. Okay. Moving right along. Shout out Kishore for collecting all these questions from the community, first of all. Second of all, Night Maze says, I just think I still don't have a great answer for what happens if every miner sells their coins. So maybe
Number goes up. Like that's the answer. Even if they all sell, their emissions go up more than like they sell, so there's always more money coming in under growth than there is going out. And it's cool question. I get it, but you can kind of see one that they don't all sell. Two, miners aren't the only market participants, so a lot more money comes in, And then 3, just look at the last month's chart to understand what actually happens in the real world.
There you go. Yeah. Understand the question. Absolutely. Great answer, Dr. K. Appreciate that.
Like I get it. Like when you look at SOAP, we're only considering the flow of the tokens from miners and a subsidy. Cool. So what we did is we took something that was negative, and then like worst case we made it neutral, but in practice we've made it positive. And so you can like, obsess over, oh, is it actually neutral, or like if it's positive, like how positive is it? Just look at the last month's chart, and you'll understand that it's very positive.
Right.
So it is surprisingly more positive. Like we were entirely too unoptimistic about how positive it would be. It's way more positive than we thought.
Yeah, I was saying on a past live stream, like I think our initial goals were 10K a day, and we surpassed that pretty quickly. So far.
Well, so the other thing that I point out too is most ASIC hash rate is profitable.
Right.
So their behavior is quite a bit different. Right. So they're in a much better situation to cover costs and speculate. Right. So if like you're running an S23, and given the relative PA, you might only need to sell 20-30% of your tokens to cover your costs, and then the rest you can just go for the ride.
There you go.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So and there definitely are spec miners in the world.
Absolutely.
Because like that was one of the original like speculators and reasons to speculate. The worst miners in some ways are the GPUs because they have the tightest margins. Right, so they're much more forced to cover. But mining SOAP, because the numbers are going up because that coefficient is positive. Even they're starting to make money now. So
there you go, guys. All right. Appreciate the questions, everyone. Just FYI, for those who are tuning in on X, feel free to drop your questions in the comments section. We'll get.
And there's one other piece here, which is, let's say that the propensity to sell like outstrips the revenue at some point. Price just simply corrects down,
right?
And like it'll correct down until the coefficient turns positive again, at which point it will go up. So, like what you have to understand is we just shifted this coefficient in a proof of work system to be basically 0 or positive, where it was previously negative. So it will never have worse characteristics than a proof of work system. It only has better.
Boom. Flipping those economics on its head. Appreciate that, Dr. K. I'm going to ask this next one, then bring Gabriel up, and then we'll check in over on X for any questions over there. Arun, 1996, asked about work shares. I know we touched on this briefly, but maybe expand a bit. First, can the work share count be adjusted? If so, what's the primary signal for increasing or reducing it?
He's saying like a count in the protocol?
Yeah.
Or he's saying for algo?
He just says work share count.
Yeah, so right now it's set to 8. The reason it's set to 8 is statistics. If I'm just considering statistics, in terms of trying to get finalization quickly, i.e. single block, 8 is like a very optimized number from a bandwidth to data perspective. The reason that you'd go past that is economic, really, which is we'd like to have more hash rate. So going to 16 only enhances your economics. It does increase your bandwidth requirements, and it does increase disk. it's not significant in either one, but it does double the amount of revenue you can get, and it allows more algos. So that's why you want 16.
Got it. Great questions, guys. All right, Gabriel, we're going to bring you up. I see one question over on X. We'll get to that later. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Oh, and also as the system grows, it makes it easier to still solar mine. So, right, like we're significant hash rate now, guys. I think if you actually look at it, we're not like on the F2 pool leaderboard anymore, but I'm pretty sure we'd be number 11, like right below Caspa and Stablecoin. So like there's a lot of hash rate, and the fact that a BitAxe can get still paid twice a day solo mining is impressive. Now, as that keeps going up and we start talking about ADA hashes, 16 shares are going to help keep solo mining possible for small miners.
Got it. Gabriel, can you hear us? What you got?
Yeah. Thanks so much for bringing me up. I have two questions. My first question is, concerning what you were talking about before of potentially including Monero and Zcash, just like in the sense of having a long-term direct connection between the networks. Are we eventually going to be able? Well, is it eventually going to be possible to fully decentralize all of that? Because I still have some concern, kind of, if we say like build like the greatest DEX of all time, but there is still like even just a tiny part of centralization that's involved in that. The potential like security as that scales, if you start to have like billions and billions every day that's being
yeah, I mean, we haven't like finalized a design on a DEX, but I'm highly sympathetic to those concerns. And right, I don't like bridges. I don't like committees. I don't like federations. So I believe we can get to something that is extraordinarily acceptable, proof-based system that works between the different chains.
Okay, cool. My other question was about the emissions of Quai and the Genesis blocks. My understanding is that as of the time that SOAP started and right now, that like in the fullness of time, about 80, without the further inflation subsidies, that about 80% or so of the total final supply of Quai will have originated from the Genesis allocations. And my understanding now with SOAP is that there really isn't any more emission from non-Genesis allocation in any significant amount, which means that the graphs that are on the Quai website, where it says like projected 4-year, it was like 50-50 from Genesis and mining, and then projected 10-year, it was like 71 to 28 for like the total blocks that originated from mining versus Genesis. I was wondering, is that a correct analysis that will be the case? And did you have any thoughts about that? Like from the perspective of if somebody was concerned about that for some reason, like when looking at Quai?
Yeah, so what the graphs like aren't right anymore with SOAP because basically it's constrained the like inflationary emissions quite a bit, right? So the Genesis does represent more of the terminal supply than it would have previously with continued inflation. Now, the key realization here, though, is the key tenet that makes mining interesting economically is diffusion, not distribution. So the diffusion in the system has actually gone up exponentially, but the inflation, i.e. distribution, has gone down exponentially. So you've taken the unnecessary and economically detrimental characteristic of inflation in the distribution process, but you've exponentially scaled the diffusion process, which is what you want. So like in all cases, this is an infinitely better system than's ever been designed before. And thinking of it, you know, in a very elementary analog against other proof of work systems does not get you to the right conclusions.
Hey, Dr. K, for those of us who are not GigaChats, could you remind us what the difference is between diffusion and distribution?
Yeah, so basically what you're trying to do when you're bootstrapping these money systems is to be a credible money system, you need to have sort of like fair access to the money over time, right? And historically, people have said, okay, we're going to mine, and mining is fair access. Now, this word fair is interesting because, you know, people didn't know, I didn't know about Bitcoin in 2009, so I would say that was an unfair launch because I didn't even know about it, so I didn't have the opportunity. And then maybe in 2010, you know, I didn't have GPUs or the money to mine, so like I didn't have fair access to it. But the whole like the story that has been woven is that if all supply is emitted from mining, it becomes fair. But if you actually look at the Gini coefficient of Bitcoin, it sucks, like quite badly, to be perfectly frank. It almost is worse in some ways than traditional finance.
And the Gini coefficient is effectively like the number of people versus how big their bags are?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, right, like 10,000 people control 60% of the supply or something ridiculous.
Got it. Thank you.
Right. So, you know, in this like quote unquote fair scenario, it actually has achieved a very unfair outcome. So the word fair is like a marketing ploy. What diffusion means is basically you have a system where it encourages wealth to deconcentrate. So effectively by having mining, which is very high relative to supply and inflation. So if I was doing it in inflation, if we were doing it in an inflationary setting, it's very hard to maintain like a high inflation rate over time because it has a negative impact on the token, which then has a negative impact on participation, which then means you're not actually getting more money into more hands, you're actually concentrating it. If, on the other hand, I have a high flow going through the mining process with a relatively low or zero inflation rate, you're getting diffusion, which is people that have Quai are going to end up selling it to people that don't have Quai via this process of mining. Right?
Right.
And because that process, one, doesn't suppress the price, you can scale it a lot higher than you could with just a mining situation. So you're going to get a way better distribution here over time. And having good distribution doesn't suppress price. It actually encourages price to go up. So like every factor of this system, if you like actually play it through, is like only better in every single way. I don't have a single negative like thought about it.
Do you see like I mean at this rate, like I mean I'm probably like one of the most bullish people on this cryptocurrency in existence, but like if the I mean basically if the Genesis distribution, it's like foundation and ecosystem plus community is already more than 50% of the entire Genesis allocation. So if that's about like 1.6 billion total and the net and the final price of Quai is, you know, approaching like hundreds or thousands, then that's like multiple trillions for like. Do you see like a high possibility of there being some like burning of just the allocations for the foundation and ecosystem and community just because it's like
I mean the purpose of the foundation was to facilitate the adoption of Quai. If the money isn't needed, like it will get burned.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
This isn't like somebody's, you know, like little piggy bank. Like, it has a purpose.
Right, of
Should
course.
be used for that purpose. And then, like, if it's not, it goes away.
Totally. Okay, cool. Neat. Thank you so much.
Right on. Great questions, Gabriel, as always.
And that's written into the foundation documents, by the way.
Nice.
So, like, when the foundation was created, like, it was specifically said that at the disposition of the foundation, at some point in the future, that any assets that exist will buy Quai and then get burned.
Boom. Boom.
Cool.
So, like, the foundation is just it's just a catalyst,
Right.
right? So like, the point of any foundation activities, right? Saying, like, paying for a listing on an exchange. It's like an apropos example today. Right, like, that's a catalyst, right? Because it gets more access to the token by more people, and ideally brings in more value than it costs. So, like, it's probably good that those tokens are sold to pay for that listing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Makes sense. Again, Gabriel, great questions. We're a little over time, but we got one in on X that lines up with another question from Energy. So, you got some time, Dr. K, for a few more?
Yeah, I was late. We can go a little longer.
Appreciate it. These are broad questions, but they're related, and due to the growth of the community, I would love for you to address these. I'm going to read them both, just to call out the folks who are asking them. So, shout out Dalal over on X. Their question is: Quai Network wants to make its blockchain fast and scalable while still staying decentralized. How does it manage to do this, and what's one possible downside or challenge of this approach? In a similar vein, Energy says...
Hold on. One question at a time.
It's the same question. So shout out Energy and Dalal.
Yeah, like, let me, I only have so much stack here, man.
Sure.
Yeah, so first off, Quai doesn't want to make its blockchain fast, scalable, and efficient. We have made our blockchain fast, scalable, and efficient. This isn't a roadmap. We figured out how to make a hierarchy of merge bind chains that can scale to handle all of global commerce. We spent 8 years doing it. So, yeah, that's, I guess, the first part of the question. We took a first principles approach. We've developed market mechanisms for all the resources in the system. We've developed things like work shares to make it so that you don't need pools. We've developed things like NEPA POWs so that you don't need RPCs. In every part of the system, in every consideration, in every design, and every test, we've been thinking about how to create a decentralized scaled system, not a centralized one, because centralized ones, or even ones that aren't sufficiently decentralized that they can't stand up to a nation state like attack when they're at scale, are not going to be meaningful. And so that has always been our design point, and we have spent almost a decade doing it.
Nice. To expand on that, Energy is curious what trade-offs were made, if any.
So there's one trade-off in the system, which is there's like one genuine trade-off, which is as you shard, as you increase the number of shards, you will still get 5-second confirmations, but the time it takes to be able to respend money that you receive will increase. So let's say we have 100 shards and we're doing, say, 100,000 TPS, right? This would basically be like the Western world pretty ubiquitously using Quai or Qi as cash. In that situation, your worst case settlement time, or your time to be able to respend a transaction, would be an hour. That's the compromise in the system. So as the number of shards goes up, that increases super linearly. And so you can keep increasing, but just from like a time perspective, we've programmatically limited the current implementation of the system to 255 shards. So at 255, I think it's like 4 hours is like your worst case to be able to respend. Not to know that you're going to get paid. You can do that in 5 seconds, but to respend that payment would take potentially 4 hours. But as you keep going up, that number keeps going up. So there is some like physical constraint here that still exists, and that is the compromise.
Got it. I love
which to be fair,
that.
I actually don't call that a compromise. I just call that physics.
Right. And I love comparing it to the current system, especially when you consider large payments over major geos in traditional finance. It's even longer than
Yeah,
that.
I mean, right, you pay with a credit card, it looks instant, right? The merchant gets a confirmation in that 5 seconds, but they don't get the money even in partial form for 90 days.
Boom.
They don't get full payment for 180. So to take that down to like an hour, there's no businesses that like I really know of that are meaningful in the economy that are going to get even marginally impugned by not being able to respend revenue in an hour.
Right. Great questions, guys.
So like of all the sort of potential features that you say you need in a blockchain, that's probably the least important one, but that is the compromise.
Appreciate you walking through that, Dr. K. I'm going to reply over on X as soon as I'm able. The light paper also goes a long way, folks. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you definitely want to do that. I linked it down there in the chat as well.
Now I will also mention that only comes like anything as you add shards. Right. So the system is programmed to dynamically shard as demand increases, but and the number of transactions per second at which the sharding happens is ultimately an emergent property, but we believe will take place when we go past 700 TPS in the first shard. And then when we go from 1 to 2 shards, your sort of cross shard settlement time is going to be like 20 seconds, right? So you're still gonna get those 5 second confirmations. You just won't be able to respend for 20. But then as that increases, right, that time super linearly increases. But the point being is there's no significant like impingement today. And even if we went to Visa, which averages 2,000 transactions per second over the year, in say like a 3 shard or 4 shard topology, you're still looking at like, I don't know, 40-second worst case time, which is nothing, doesn't exist, it's not meaningful to like anybody, anywhere for anything.
Rock on. Great questions, guys. Really appreciate you going through that, Dr. K. I got one more here, and then I'll have to search for another. So FYI, guys, get your questions in quick. AlphaMind is wondering, how much SHA-256 hash does Quai Network need to start merge mining the Bitcoin network?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like number 2 on Bitcoin Cash right now. At least we were last night, if we actually published our full hash rate onto Bitcoin Cash. I think we're in the like 500, 600 petahash range, which puts us right below, I believe, BTC. Now that only makes us, I think, like 10% of the network for Bitcoin Cash. For Bitcoin, we can do it. It's just like variance is the problem. So for us to want to start merge mining Bitcoin, I think we need to get to like 0.7%, which is around like 7 ADA hash. So there's there's a little bit of a discontinuity that might happen, wherein we kind of have to like, because the problem is Bitcoin Cash only has like 6, right? So we might have to jump over at like 4, which is like not ideal for us, but like we'll deal with it, right? Because like you won't get a Bitcoin block every day. Your expectation maybe will be every other day. But then with like variance, it could be like every 6 days if you're unlucky, sort of thing. But you know, I think that's something we can still deal with. So
Got it.
we'll start to consider it, I guess, once we get to about 3.
Okay. Good question, Alpha Mind. I got another one here, another big topic, which we love you opining on. Energy asks, what happens when Quai gets big enough to matter? Not technically. I get the decentralization arguments, but practically, when the network is processing billions in energy dollars that governments can't inflate or control, and people are using chi as actual untraceable cash. What's the plan? Is the strategy too decentralized to stop? We'll comply with regulations, or we'll fight in court?
The power comes from the people. Always has. So the plan is to make a system that empowers the people, and they choose to use naturally because it gets greater benefit for them. That's really the plan. Yeah.
Creating that social resilience that makes it political suicide to go against.
Yeah, basically. Right, like Bitcoin got there, right?
Yeah.
Barely, but it kind of did.
You've talked about this in the past. I think you said there was a certain amount of money or a certain number of people participating in the last election that solidified its social resilience.
Yeah, I mean, there's a strong argument that Trump won because of the shit that Pocahontas was doing.
Yeah, inspired all the crypto packs to get involved.
Right? I mean, she basically like executed 2 banks, like super judicially.
Yeah.
Right? And she's been harassing the crypto people for years, shutting down bank accounts, making it like problematic to, as a company, to even have access to dollars. Right?
Yeah.
And those chickens came home to roost for him.
Right. Love those questions, Energy. Glad to have you in Quai Nation here.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, there's this thing, right, which is, so like philosophically, I'm an engineer, and I have like strong opinions about society and morality, right? So all I can do is try to build tools that enable moral outcomes, right? Now, you know, I think one of the things that I'm good at that a lot of people miss is that I'm also pretty good at designing the markets, so that those tools get adopted. But I'm basically saying there's a certain world that I want to see, right, where we have free sovereign individuals, and, you know, politics doesn't like coerce you to do things that you don't want to do, right? You know, where you have accountable representation for the points in time that you need socialized or hierarchical structures. Because, you know, just because you make the money decentralized doesn't mean you don't need roads, right?
Yep.
Now, there's libertarian ways to go about that, and the point though is, if the money is free, the process for everything above it now has to like competitively justify itself, right? So past building the tools that enable the possibility of the outcome, there's only so much that I can do outside of building the tools and designing the markets in a way that best sets up the likelihood of success. That's all we can do.
A little more nuanced take on fix the money, fix the world, but I love it. Kind of
Right, but
fix
the
money.
point is you need to understand the politics. You need to understand the economics.
Right.
Right. So the thing with Bitcoin and not scaling is more that it allows for financial and political capture more than anything else.
Right.
Because I needed to feel like a Visa MasterCard experience, both in terms of time as well as fee. But I need to do it in a decentralized system, and I need to do it at that scale. Right. And that was like the original question that we asked 8 years ago. And the point of getting there is so that you actually build a tool that can actually be adopted and actually have a chance at not being co-opted into the existing systems.
Boom. 8 years ago, guys, good things take time. Ethereum didn't even take 2 years. And if you didn't know, Dr. K's educated physicist and other members of the team, economists as well. So speaks to the market incentive design approach we take here at Quai Network. Appreciate that, Dr. K. All right, last one for you before we start to wrap up. Kishore's got a question about upcoming Ravencoin halving. He asks, if Raven hash drops sharply post-halving, is there a risk of SOAP briefly becoming the dominant buyer of Kapow security, and is that acceptable?
Yeah, that potentially will happen. Right now, I think we're about 33% of Ravencoin. So depending on what happens to their price and what happens to their hash rate, we may end up being a super majority. That's fine. At 70% of their hash rate, the controller in our system starts to bias in towards show on script. So we don't really go past 70%. But we've anticipated this. The biggest thing that's going to happen is there's going to be more of a price premium, I think, that we're paying. But again, the market should close that gap.
Great question, Kishore. Rock on, guys.
But that price premium becomes less important as we bias the number of shares to show on script.
Right.
So, let's say we do end up becoming 70% of their network. The number of show on script shares will actually go to 4 per block. And then Kapow will only be a block producer. It won't be a share anymore.
Got it.
So that means that even if we're like cost inefficient on Kapow, it only represents 12% of the revenue.
Right.
Or 11%. Rather.
We've planned for it, guys. Kishore says, nice. It's baked in. 100%. Kind of bringing us back to the first question from Nintron. You guys rock. Great questions, guys. Love to see all the new things.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've like painted the path of like how to. We didn't just like launch this guy. we have like a plan for the 3-stage rocket.
That's a meme.
So like the first stage, gets us to like 300K. It's kind of our target per day. And then we got to deploy the second stage.
How do we complete that meme? What would you say the second and third stage are?
Well, the second stage is basically we're going to go increase the number of shares. And then again, we'll potentially add ZEC in XMR. And then the third stage, I can't talk about yet.
Oh, snaps. Okay. All right. Third stage TBD.
We have a plan. I just can't talk about it.
All right. There. Okay, Gabriel, bring you up for a final round here.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, actually, hold on just a second.
Oh, man. Don't pull the trigger if you're
Sorry
not
about
ready,
that.
man.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sorry. My question was, I think I've asked a variation of this before, and maybe you answered it, and I apologize then if I didn't internalize the answer. But in like the convergent end state of this, like suppose that our market cap exceeds Bitcoin, and eventually Bitcoin is just like nothing to us, like Bitcoin is to us as we are to Bitcoin right now. What is the end state in terms of the algorithms that are being used to mine Quai? Because my understanding is that at that point, we've already soaked all the value from all the other chains, and so then we're going to kind of be back on the original emissions roadmap, but just like much further along in the process without having needed to emit nearly as many.
Well, so what'll happen is basically fees will start paying for security, and it will replace the SOAP subsidy.
Okay, what about the mining algorithm? Like, what will be the percentage distribution between SHA, script, and compile?
That plays into some of the third stage conversation. So we'll talk about that at a later date.
Okay, got it. Okay. What were those first two stages again?
We're in stage one now.
We're in stage one. Basically, stage two is going to be doubling the work shares and adding potentially ZEC and XMR.
Okay, got it. Okay. So wait for stage three. Awesome.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Rock on, guys. Dr. K, I always have a blast on these Wednesday chats. Community is absolutely cracked.
Yeah, my guess too is like stage two might be like a February thing. We'll see.
Oh, snaps.
Yeah, because the problem is the growth rate is like pretty fast.
It's impressive. Yeah. You said earlier, I don't think we expected this.
Well, I mean, we did expect it. I think our original target was to have price double every 2 weeks. Unfortunately, it's going faster than that.
Right. Rock on. Yeah, you guys, shout out everybody who asked questions, everybody who's tuning in. You guys are absolutely cracked. I'll share some more resources on X for those questions over there shortly after this. But we're all out of questions, Dr. K. Really appreciate the time today. Anything else any final thoughts you want to leave us with before I wrap up?
Study Quai, tell your friends, it's the last blockchain. We're on a path of economic singularity.
Absolutely, guys. The time is now. The signal is out there. It's really easy to tune in. We have tons of content coming in every day for you guys to get engaged. And with Project SOAP and this new economic model, the more the merrier. More hash rate, more buyers, more builders, more node operators. There's plenty of growth opportunity for everybody across the board. So this is probably one of the few times, if you're competitive, you want to share, because the more miners, the more hash rate, the more buyback, the more burn, the more positive price pressure. Love it. Rock on. All right. Well, appreciate that, Dr. K. Again, shout out to the community who tuned in and asked questions today. Guys, we're just getting started over here. We're not even 4 weeks into Project Soap at this point. I think time's moving fast. But the numbers are painting. The revenue is coming in. Now's the time to get involved. Join the community. Hang out with us on X. If you're trying to get your hands on some Quai, easiest way to do so. So go sign up over at Kipper Money. There's a lot of incentives to do so, and our community is absolutely addicted to tipping each other Quai over on X. So if you're a verified account, you get some Quai just for signing up. So no reason not to do so. If you need even more Quai, we are traded on Mexi, Gate.io, and LBank. You can swap those useless tokens for more useful ones over at SwapSpace and Let's Exchange. And you're still early over here at Quai Network. Kraken is right around the corner, folks, and we got some more announcements coming for you guys, hot and heavy here real soon. So definitely follow the Quai Network account, and come join us over on X and Discord, and hope to see you there. We'll be back tomorrow in the Wolf Crypto space, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll make sure that's rebroadcasted. It's a great space to learn more about mining. You guys absolutely rock. It was a pleasure to host today. Really appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.